Have you ever wondered if Occidental language speakers learn foreign languages in the same way Indigenous people do? How to approach these teaching conditions? Welcome to Campos didácticos plurilingües, a Peter Lang academic publishers project in partnership with the electronic magazine Matices en Lenguas Extranjeras from Departamento de Lenguas Extranjeras at Universidad Nacional de Colombia. In today's episode, elements of second and foreign languages teaching to Indigenous learners of Canada. Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Manuel Velasco and today we have the opportunity to come with the company of Pierre Demers. Professor Demers is currently lecturer at Université Sainte-Anne in Nova Scotia, Canada. He completed his PhD at the Universidad Montreal. He has taught second language with students from all ages. Additionally, he has also had the opportunity to work with Indigenous learners for many years. Concerning his job in higher education institutions, he's been a professor of linguistics, education, and second language didactics at many Canadian universities and abroad.
Hello and welcome everybody. I will introduce you to my book. I'm pleased to introduce you to my book. First of all, I must acknowledge that I'm talking to you from Abenaki land in southern Quebec.
Alright, Professor, thank you very much. I would like to start with a simple question, and it's, who is this book for? What is the type of public that you were aiming to reach when you were writing it?
So, I wrote this book for the practicing second language teacher or the future language teacher who will be working with Aboriginal learners.
Okay, perfect, Professor. So taking that into account, perhaps you can tell us how is this book presented and structured?
So the book is divided in two main parts, the theoretical part and the practical part. The traditional part is divided in two subparts. The first subpart deals with traditional Eurocentric paradigms in second language didactics, such as the traditional paradigm, the progressivist paradigm, the behaviorist paradigm, the communicative paradigm, and the radical paradigm. The last paradigm, inspired from Paulo Freire, is rather new in second language didactics, and it comes from two different areas of knowledge, the new communication theory and the transpersonal psychology. And this is, in my opinion, the paradigm that best suits the needs of the Aboriginal learners. So it's divided in two parts. The first subpart deals with traditional Euro-linguistic, Euro-didactics paradigms, as I mentioned, and the last subpart deals with traditional Aboriginal teaching techniques.
Okay, so basically you're saying that you really consider as something important to mark a difference between Aboriginal learners and other learners.
It is important to remember that in traditional Aboriginal teaching techniques, and in my opinion, it should be the case for everybody who's teaching someone, that you're not teaching learners, you are teaching persons. A learner is more than a learner. A learner is also a person, and a person has four facets: the physical facet, the emotional facet, the intellectual facet, and the spiritual facet. So we have to take all those facets into account in order to have an efficient teaching technique or efficient teaching techniques. So this is for the first part. The second part deals with practical considerations such as what techniques should we use before the teaching starts, like class preparation and classroom preparation. They're different. The second part deals with teaching techniques per se. How to teach listening, how to teach speaking, how to teach reading, how to teach writing to beginners, intermediate, and advanced learners. And the third part deals with what should be done after teaching, such as how do we test, how do we make corrections, and things like that.
Very good, Professor. So far you've talked about the main parts of the book, its structure, the principal concepts that we should know, but I'd like to ask you, how did you come up with this idea? Is it something that you saw maybe on other type of research, or is it also based on your own experience?
And it was a pleasure for me to write this book because when I started teaching Aboriginal students, I realized that the techniques that I used were not adequate for those learners. And as a proud Métis, I'm a member of the Quebec Métis Nation, it was a pleasure for me to meet with those students, and I learned a lot from them. And the book is illustrated throughout with testimonies from my own teaching and my own life. And those testimonies are, for me, important because they can help the reader relate to what I say. This is very practical, and it is, what we encounter when we teach. And of course, there's not only theory in the teaching process, because teaching is also an art. So everybody should be using these techniques with his or her personality. And I think that the most important thing to do with Aboriginal learners and with other learners, in my opinion as well, is to create a good relationship based on the trust, on common trust. And that's it.
Well, as you say, that's it. So thank you very much for coming to this episode today.
Thank you. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask me. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Professor, and also a big thank you to our listeners. If you are willing to know more about Professor Demers' work, you can go to www.peterlang.com, where you can find this publication and many others. I say goodbye and see you on the next episode.